Today is ink swatching day. I have a bunch of really fun samples to swatch out with you guys today. These are all from my friend Molly, who sent me that amazing box. If you missed it, I'll link it up above. But I figured we'd go ahead and swatch them today. I am swatching in an iron gold notebook. So if you are interested in that, you can find these on Amazon and a lot of other places. I love these for showing my ink qualities. I think we have 8 samples today to kind of swatch out. So I'm going to be doing a more condensed version, which I've been doing more of lately with just my Kakamori dip nib, where we'll put a little swatch on and write out the name of the ink, that kind of thing. So let's dig in. I don't know what color to start with, but I'm going to say we're just going to start from this side. This one is, it looks like she got it from it looks like she got it from Van Nuys. This is one of their really nice ink samples, which is called Floating Cloud. It looks to be like a reddish color, so very fallless, and she made a nice little swatch there on the top. So I don't think this is a shimmering or sheening ink, so we'll have to see on that. Oh, and I should grab out my little vial holder. I'll do that in just a second. A very light color, almost. You know, we're going to zoom in. Hold on. So you guys can see better. I keep on forgetting that. But this is Wearinguel. It flows really nice. And I like, hold on, I'm missing one other thing. Because of this paper specifically, it really absorbs my finger oils. So having a blotter card down so I don't touch the paper as much is really helpful. We'll see if I got it in time. Oh, did you dry in that spot because I talked too long? Wearinguel Floating Cloud. I mean, it does kind of look a little bit like a cloud at the end of like sunset kind of deal. It kind of has that pinky quality to it. Very cool. Bet you that'll be a good one coming into the end of November. Okay, next we have Diamine Oxblood, which is definitely a very dark red. I think we had talked about this one because it's such a popular color and she had some, and I had mentioned, oh, I keep on meaning to get some to try because everybody says it's so amazing. So let's see. There we go. Sometimes with my Kakamori dip pen, it takes a minute for it to flow. This was Diamine. Ooh. I don't want to misspell it. Ox. Yeah, just OX blood. I wonder why they came up with that name. Like, it's very curious to me how people name things and why they pick the names that they do. I'm not saying it's wrong or bad, it's just interesting to me. Next we have, I'm going to go with this one because it's another reddish color. So this is Diamine's Coral, which I think we're going in and out of like the pinky. Oh, that's more pink than I thought it was going to be. Of the pinky realm. So it looks like it's definitely lighter than Oxblood, but not as pinky as Floating Cloud, maybe. Maybe even a little bit more orangey toned. We'll see. Yeah, definitely more orangey toned. So this one is Diamine again. Diamine is such a great ink company. Their inks are not horribly expensive. You can find them in a lot of places because they've been around for forever, I think. And they're just such a standard in the ink world. I think they're located in the UK, but I could be wrong on that. I'm trying to remember where everybody is located, but sometimes I forget. So then we have Diamine's Sailor's Warning, which I assume is going to be, ooh, this one has shimmer. Okay, we'll make sure we get that in. And I think this is the last of the reddish toned ones. Oh, that's going to be really cool. I love me a good shimmer. I'm sure you guys do too. Oh yeah, you can totally see it on the top that she put. I wonder, I'll have to ask her what she used to do on the top because I've tried to do that before. I'm not sure that I mixed that good enough. And in the end, it just, the tabs that I got didn't work. I can use it for labeling, but not for doing the colors. So I've been trying to figure out, like, what do you use for that? Yeah, this is going to be so pretty. This was Diamine again. Sailor's Warning. So there was this saying that was, what was it? Red in the morning, sailor's warning. Red at night, sailor's delight. Meaning, that's what you could predict for the next day. If it was red in the morning, you knew storms were coming in. And if it was red at night, the storms had passed, I think. It kind of stuck in my brain. And most of the time it's true. I mean, honestly, if you live on, because I lived on a lake growing up. Okay, so this is a Sailor Ink Studio ink, and it is Sailor Ink Studio 162. It looks to be a really nice teal color. So we'll do that one next. These are all really pretty inks, by the way. And I'm so grateful that she sent them to me. It was so generous of her. Okay, this was Sailor. The Sailor inks always have a slight, like, chemical type smell to them. Like, they work really well, but sometimes when I'm swatching, I'm like, I'm not sure about that smell. Oh yeah, this will be perfect for my my Pilot pen that I love so much. I don't actually have it inked up currently, and I'm missing it. So I was trying to not always use the same pens, but I love that one so much. Okay, let's do this one. Color versus Aurora Borealis. And I think there's two. Yeah, this one is also, this is Diamines. So we'll ink them next to each. Actually, let's do the Diamines next because it feels like it's a closer in color to this one. The Ink Studio inks are just so cool. And there's so many of them. Like, I think you can find just about any shade you ever want in the Ink Studios. I need to sit down with them though. Oh yes, much darker than that one. More teal. And this one, Diamine. It's so interesting to me how some companies use the same names. I mean, you only have so many names, right? But they can be so drastically different from one company to the next, which you'll see here in a minute. I think I have a Ferris wheel press that might be named this as well. I was trying to remember because I know I have one named this, but I don't think it's either one of these. Yeah, I think it's Ferris wheel press. I'll have to look. I don't know that I knew that Colorverse had one. Oh yeah, that's so much lighter. I think the other one that I have is, no, it's not Diamine. Colorverse. Sorry. The other one that I have, I think it's a purple. Maybe I'm thinking of something else though. I mean, I definitely need to check. Okay, and the last one is Memory Lane, which is an ink I've heard so much about from a previous ink vent. I don't remember which one of the Diamine ink vents it went to. Speaking of which, my ink vents, it sounds like they'll be shipping soon. Soon being, you know, in the next month. So I'm excited because I did order both the Diamine and the Colorverse again this year because I have no self-control. That's really what it is. We'll be honest here. Oh, that's such a pretty color. It's a little more watery, but I don't know if that, like, maybe I didn't clean up the dip pen as much. Just making sure. Oh, it's the green ink vent. It says right on the side. What year was the green one? Because I only found out about them very end of the year before last. And so they were like all gone pretty much by then. And so I just got one for the next year. Was green the first year that I heard about that? Maybe. Did you say? No, it just says green edition. What color is this year? Is it purple? It might be purple. Okay, I'm going to let these guys kind of dry and then we'll do close-ups and I'll see if I have anything in my arsenal that's kind of close to them. I'm also going to make some swatch cards of all the colors so that we have some better comparisons. Now that everything is dry, let's take a closer look at these. First, we have Wearinguel's Floating Cloud, which really is very pink in tonality. Here it is on the Col-o-Ring's paper, so you can kind of see how you have that variation from almost a red to a very pink hue. And when I did the swatch at the bottom, I do the ones at the very bottom with just a Q-tip that I run across. So it ended up more of a solid like pinky tone. And when I was looking for colors that were maybe in the same realm, the closest I could find was actually from my ink vent last year. This is from the Colorverse ink vent, and it's called Rosette Nebula. And I felt like the tone there was pretty close. It does have some of that same reddish hues. So if you missed out on last year's ink vent, but really wanted a color that was close to this because you saw it, I do think the Floating Cloud is pretty close. I mean, they're not exact matches. This is definitely more red leaning, where the Floating Cloud is a little bit more pink leaning. Next, we have the very iconic Diamine Oxblood. It's a very rich burgundy type color. I love how it wrote. It was just very easy to use. Not to say that the other inks that I swatched aren't. It's just there was something about the flow of this particular one that was really satisfying. So here it is on the Col-o-Ring swatch. So you can see how it's a very, very deep red and has a little bit of like a brownish color in that layering or sheening portion. I'm not really sure if it's a layer or actually a sheen, to be honest. But colors that I had that were in the same realm as this, and nothing is an exact match. So the first thing I thought of, because I think it's where my brain goes because I love this red ink, was Wearinguel's Captain Hook. And I think they are pretty close, but I think Captain Hook is a little bit more of a true red opposed to a burgundy, at least in the lighter portions. And then I pulled out Diamine's Burgundy Royale. These are pretty close. This is a little bit more almost purple tinged, I would say. And in certain lights, this layered color or whatever you want to call it here can almost have like a greenish hue to it, where this is definitely a warm brown. The last color that I had that was in the same ballpark was Wearinguel's Hound of the Baskervilles, which I love this ink, by the way. It's a very fun ink. I think this is a little bit too much on the brown side, and of course it has that green sheen there. But I thought that one was really nice, and I'm gonna enjoy using this, and it's a nice ink that I think will carry over from fall into the Christmas months. And it's a nice dark color, so it's so easy to read, and it just, like I said, flowed really nicely. Our next color is Diamine's Coral, which surprised me a little bit. I wasn't expecting it to be as bright as it is. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a neon color, but maybe neon adjacent. And so it's one of those colors that doesn't hurt your eyes to look at it, but you're definitely going to take notice of it on the page. And a standard ink, flowed really nicely and everything. So here is our swatch, which came out almost more orangey than I anticipated. And when I first put it down, I immediately thought of one of the Inkvent colors from last year, Fruit Cocktail, which was a scented ink. And we'll look at those in comparison in just a second. But I did want to also point out that there is just the hint of almost a yellow on the edges here. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but it's very faint, but there is just a little ring of like a brighter yellow there. So as far as my colors that went with this, like I said, it made me think of Fruit Cocktail. Now, when it was wet, it was a little bit brighter, and I think wet, it looks a little bit more like Fruit Cocktail. I'm not a huge fan of Fruit Cocktail. This is actually more appealing to me. And I do have one other ink that I felt was maybe even a little closer, which is Sailor Ink Studio 173. Now, this is obviously a little lighter, but these darker toned areas are close. So I would say this would be a lighter substitute if you needed one. So that is Diamine Coral. Next we have Diamine Sailor's Warning, which I really appreciate this ink. It has some unique qualities to it, in that you have this red base tone and then a pink shimmer on top, which is just, it's very it's very Valentine's to me, to be honest. It's just one of those type of inks I could totally see writing, you know, a letter on and that type of thing. Here it is on the Col-o-Ring paper, and you can see all that little shimmer. You have some nice variation in the red tones, from like a more deep red to this almost orangey red here. And that was really nice. Now, I don't have anything that's really a match to this. The closest I could find was actually Van Diemen's Encore series. They have a ink called Cupid's Bow. Now, this is a quite an intense shimmer, as you can see, where it has silver and gold in there. But I thought the base tones were pretty similar. And so if you needed a nice, you know, red with some pizzazz, I think that these both work really well. The Sailor's Warning is much more subtle, but if you want to amp it up, go for the Cupid's Bow. But both are pretty nice. Next, we have the Sailor Ink Studio 162. Now, I was a little surprised here. I expected it to just be a solid color, but there is some tonality stuff going on in there that I really like. It's very subtle, but you can see a variation of almost a teal on the edges, maybe a little bit more purpley towards the center. And this is how it came out on the swatch card. And you can really see those variations in the color a little bit more. You can see a little bit more of that purple coming out, that deep green on the edges here. It's a very complex color. I think in writing, it's going to be more like this. But if you're using it for other things, so many people use it for painting and stuff. I think this would be a really fun cloud color, to be honest, for like a stormy cloud coming in, or like the sea when it's kind of that greenish color, those type of things. As far as what I had that was similar, we don't have a ton. So I did pull out the Diamine Ink Mint Twist, which obviously has a shimmer and a different color sheen there, but the base tones were similar-ish. This is definitely a brighter color than the Ink Studio. The Ink Studio kind of has this murkiness about it. And then I also pulled out Sailor's Manyo Nagi, which I think is closer. It doesn't have quite the variation with the purple tones and everything, but I do really enjoy this ink as well. So just as close as I could get in my collection. And then we have the Diamine and Colorverse Aurora Borealises. Now I said that I thought I had another ink that was named, I thought it was the same, but it's slightly different, which is my Ferris Wheel Press ink, which is this one. I think this was the color of the year, either this year or last year, and it's called Auroralis. So very similar. It's a very cool purple tone, and with this really amazing shimmer that's kind of, it looks gold from my angle, but through the viewfinder, it looks pink or almost purple. So it kind of has that shift quality about it. And so I really enjoy this one. So going off of that, here is the Diamine version on the top here. It's a very intense teal color. It just looks really nice. It's going to match my Pilot 74 perfectly in color, I'm pretty sure. And on my swatch card, here's what we get. So a very nice solid color. There's a little bit of a reddish sheen there. Not a ton, but a little bit. And just a very solid standard color, if that makes sense. As far as colors that I have that were similar, not the same, similar. I do have Diatramento's Document Turquoise. This is not an ink that I actually kept. I decided to let it go because I didn't like how much it spreads and kind of how it reacted with paper for me. I don't know if it was the pens I had it in or what, but it's a brighter teal than this. I actually like the Diamine version so much more, to be honest. So that was a close-ish one. Then we have Wearinguel's From Whom the Bell Tolls. Now this is a big sheener ink, so obviously we're going to have some variation there, but the base tones For Whom the Bell Tolls kind of matches more in this area opposed to the overall, if that makes sense. But they're close enough that I felt like sharing it with you. And the last one I pulled out was actually J. Herbon's Emerald of Chivor. Obviously, this has so much more because it has sheen and shimmer and all the things. But this is more blue leaning. But it was as close as I could get. So there you go on those, if it helps you get an idea of the true color there. Then we have the Colorverse Aurora Borealis, which is really quite stunning, to be honest. And I feel like there's an ink by Troublemaker that I have that is closer to this than what I pulled out. I will try and find that. But I think it's the Abalone. Maybe I'm missing that swatch card. I'm not sure. But I think Colorverse's Abalone is kind of got a lot of the same qualities. But the color I picked out to go kind of matchy, because it's really hard to describe. It's more like down here it looks more bluish, but then you have more greenish up here. So I wasn't really sure on matching it, but I pulled out Vinta's Sodalite Shimmer. It's a Vanasse exclusive. And yes, it has a ton of shimmer and it's gorgeous. And then our last color is that Diamine Memory Lane, which is a fabulous purple with a shimmer to it. I think the shimmer is a silver toned. Very, very pretty. And here's what it came out to be on my Col-o-Ring swatch. It's a very, like standard type purple. And one of the first things that came to mind when I saw this, minus the shimmer, was my new Wearinguel Jane Eyre, which they're not too far off. I mean, they're not super close, especially in the bigger swatch, but from the swatch at the bottom, you definitely get some similarity there. And the other one, and this is again from the swatch at the bottom, it kind of shows you how different the swatch can be. But this is Esterbrook's Lilac Shimmer, or Shimmer Lilac, whatever. And hold on, let me. So you can kind of see how they're in the same ballpark, but this is definitely a lot darker overall and has a lot more shimmer. This is a very subtle shimmer to it. So anyhow, that is everything from today. I really enjoyed testing these inks and kind of experimenting with them. I'm probably going to try and ink up some of them this next month, but I haven't decided which ones. I think Oxblood for sure, and maybe Sailor's Warning. But this one, I don't know. There's a lot of really good colors here. Let me know what your favorite color was, and until next time, I'll see you real soon.